Miles.
Did you see them? I don't want to play anymore. Hey! Why are you doing this?
Stop now.
We're not safe!
That's a pretty intense movie trailer. Well, how's it going, you guys? Welcome back to another Most Amazing Top 10 video. I'm your host for this one, Landon Do Not Sing. Actually, I should be saying welcome back to my favorite series here on YouTube. This is a series where we get to involve you guys. So if you want to be featured in part 13 of this series, make sure you guys submit a scary story to us. All you have to do is write a scary story in the comment section below of this video. And if you guys are watching this video live right now during the premiere, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let's jump right into this video. This is the top 10 scary stories told that might be real, part 12. If you guys want to get caught up with any of these videos, make sure you guys click right over here. I actually made a playlist for you guys, and also we'll link to previous videos in the description down below. Alright, starting us off on this list, and at number 10 we have a scary story from Blackbean21. I'm gonna keep posting my story until it gets told, LOL. Well, you know what, buddy, there you go. We're trying to feature as many people as possible. We're gonna try to get to everyone's story. I don't know if that's possible, and because of the success of this series, we're committed to doing many more parts, so that's exciting. Alright, let's get into the story. I call this one the Crazy Nightshift. This is my true story. I used to be a mental health tech on night shift at a mental hospital. One night on my break, I went to the lobby to fill up my water bottle. To get there, you have to go through a locked section into another wing of the hospital. As I walked down a hallway, I saw what appeared to be a patient turn a corner. After wondering how a patient got this far because you needed a badge and a key to get there, I proceeded to walk after him or her since it was my job. I said, hey, it's lights out, let's go back to your room. But as I turned the corner, the patient was gone. I looked around confused, wondering what just happened. I then began to check the doors and they were all locked. Then someone grabbed my shoulder. I quickly turned around and again, no one was there. I quickly got to that hallway, scanned my badge, went out the door and locked it, but as I did, I looked through the window and saw the same patient turn the same corner. Needless to say, when I got back to my unit, I was weirded out. My coworker asked if I was okay and I just replied, fine. In the morning, I checked the logs and no other tech reported a patient out of their room. From that night forward, I never went down that section of the hospital again, and I never knew who or what that was. I think it's so crazy for you to work in a mental hospital, and I guess that was a bad choice of words. I would be way too freaked out to deal with any situation that goes on, especially at nighttime when it's way too quiet. I would probably only make it in for like one shift. I'd get spooked and quit. Moving right along into number 9, this story is called Sweetie Sweetie, and it's from Isaac Tover, who actually titled this story. When I was about 7 years old, I figured out that my mom was like demonic. She worshipped the devil, and every day for an entire 2 months, I've been having sleep paralysis. There was this one time when I was trying to get to bed, I turned face down on my pillow, then I couldn't move. I was suffocating, I couldn't breathe. When I was about to pass out, it stopped and I could move again. So after that, I didn't say a word about it, and I never told my parents until I turned 10. I was living with my demonic mom and I had sleep paralysis for about 2 times in a row, so I decided to tell my mom to try and help me and to try to make it stop happening. She told me when it happens again, try really hard to get up. At about 10 p.m., I finally was able to sleep. I was about to go to bed when I couldn't move. I was looking straight at my mom. I could move my foot a little bit, so I tried to kick her to try to wake her up. It didn't work. I remember what my mom told me, so I really tried hard to get up. I was getting up until I felt more pressure on my back, so I flopped back down. And then I heard a whisper in my ear say, sweetie, sweetie. No one in my house ever calls me sweetie. I was staring right at my mom. It wasn't my mom. One thing though, what if I actually got up and turned around and saw what whispered to me? That's my story, and that's a true one. I personally think a demon was messing with me. I absolutely think that you're right with this one. I think a demon is messing with you, and I'm not sure what you did, but it can't be good. And I have to say it's pretty scary if your mom is actually worshiping the devil. Next up, number 8, we have a story titled, Can It Be Real? This story is from Cookie Rabbit. So when I was about 7, I had a dream, but it was too realistic. In the dream, I was sitting in my room playing with my rabbit, and everything was normal. I remember hearing something hit the floor, but when I looked down to see what it was, I saw my shattered Mary statue. I was just about to get my mom, but the lights cut off. Despite being in the middle of the day and having a window, my room was totally pitch black. When the lights came back on, my door was cracked cracked open and I could see something standing there, and my rabbit was terrified. The thing about this dream is I can hear and feel everything as if it was real. My door swung open and I remember the creature's face perfectly. It had no eyes but white holes. Even though its body was black, its mouth with a huge grin, and I remember being dragged off of my bed and into the bathtub. The creature turned on the water and it was freezing. It pushed my head under the water and I woke up feeling really cold and like I wet myself, but I didn't. The thing that bothers me is that house. I figured out after we moved held a satanic cult after it had a fire. I'm 16 now and I can still remember its face perfectly. Alright, so I typed into Google black creature with white eyes, and this is what I found. Does the creature look something like this? That is absolutely terrifying. I don't know what this thing is, but all I know is we should move on because I don't want to talk about this creature too long in case it chooses me as its next victim. Moving into number 7, we have the graduation cross. This story comes from Michael Ramos. I have a story to tell. After I graduated junior high, I was awarded with a cross. After my graduation, my mother put it on a shelf in the front room. Well, one morning I woke up and I see that the cross had fallen over. So I thought, okay, it just fell over, so I picked it up again. Next morning, I wake up to see the cross had fallen over again. My mother and I were shocked that this kept on happening. For the past week, it had been doing that. So my mother decided to bless the house and demanded the spirit to stop immediately. After that, it stopped. We were now comfortable in our own house. I don't know if I would be comfortable at that point. First of all, though, you know what? Congratulations on the graduation, but I'm sorry that you were given a possessed cross. Luckily, you guys were able to take care of it, though. And I don't even know what I would do. Would burning it be bad? Burning a cross? Moving into number 6, we have the Easter basket, and this one was written by Erica Gonzalez. My best friend Adrian and me were watching scary movies in the living room of my parents' house. Out of nowhere, we hear a loud crash in the kitchen, and keep in mind, it's dark, the kitchen light is off, and I get up to investigate. My best friend said, Erica, that's how people die in horror movies, just leave it alone. But I got up anyway to investigate and followed behind. I turned on the light to the Easter basket being on the floor on the other side of the kitchen. I looked around for any possible reason for why it might be there, but there wasn't any. I assumed the basket was thrown across the kitchen because of where it landed. We picked it up and we put it back and went to watching movies and didn't hear anything after that. Okay, you're right on one thing. That is how people die in movies, and I know for me, I would not be brave enough to go investigate it. I would be investigating the other way. I would investigate the door and how to get out of there, or I would pretend like it didn't happen. I would run upstairs to my room, hide underneath the blankets. I think that's how I usually deal with all my problems. I just run for the bed and hide under the covers, hoping that all the problems go away. Number 5, the 5-year-old horror story is up next. Caden Cruz sent in this story. Here's a scary story for you, Landon. When I was around 5, when I was watching TV and someone broke into my house, so I looked up and see my brother, he died. When I was there, he said to get under the covers, so I did, and the intruder came in my room and he didn't see me. If it wasn't for my bro's spirit, I probably wouldn't be typing this. This is a very sad and scary story at the same time. What did your brother pass away from, if you don't mind me asking, and why the heck are people breaking into your house? Luckily, your brother is still looking out for you, or else this could have gone very wrong. So scary. Moving into number 4, this one is titled The Man Who Is Still Very Afraid After 37 Years. This scary story was written by Little Navy Brat. Thanks so much for sending this in, and thank you for every one of you guys who've sent in all your scary stories. I've been reading a ton of them. If you guys want to be a part of the next video, don't forget in the comment section, submit your scary story because we want to feature you guys. We want you guys to become a part of the most amazing family here on YouTube. Alright, let's get into this one. Let's get into this spooky story. When I was 10, nearly 11, my dad was being transferred from Jacksonville, Florida to Chicago, Illinois. He was in the Navy and went to Gettysburg. At the base of one of the trees where the tree is growing out of the rock, I saw 2 young men dressed in Civil War uniforms. I can't remember if they were Union or Confederate. I pointed them out to my dad, who didn't see anything, but I could see them. One of them looked and screamed, "Help!" and yet no one else saw them. As we toured the visitor center, I kept hearing boots behind me. My dad dad and my mom were wearing flip-flops and sandals, and my brother and I wore trainers. The boots kept following me, and yet I didn't see anyone. At one point, my shoulders was tapped. 37 years later, and I have yet to return to Gettysburg. Obviously, this was very terrifying for you, very traumatic. It seems to still affect you even after 37 years. It's crazy how you still remember what happened, but I guess in like shocking events like this one, or something that happens that's very terrifying to you, you know, that kind of stuff, you remember for the rest of your life. Moving into number 3, we have the unwanted birthday guest. Shark Play sent this one in. I'm 14 right now and lived in this house for 6 years now, and this person keeps appearing in the same room I'm sleeping in, and it just stands in the corner of my eye. But when I turn to it, the figure slowly disappears in front of me. It also waves at me on occasions, generally near my birthday. One day it stopped, but this thing has recently showed up, and the worst part is that it plays tricks on especially when I'm watching creepy stories. Is this real life right now? What the heck is going on? Hopefully he's not watching you right now while you're watching this creepy video. Why does this creature or thing show up near your birthday? When is your birthday? Is it around Halloween time or something? I would possibly set up a camera around your birthday and figure out what this thing is, figure out what the heck is going on. Make sure you're wearing a cross, get some holy water going on, get everything going. Maybe have a cell phone nearby because you never know when you gotta dial the priest. That's me dialing the priest. I don't know what kind of phone that is. Number 2, I'm calling this story The Possessed Little Girl. This story is from Rihanna Hussaini. I'm not gonna lie, but my daughter said this when she was like 7 years old. So this was 2 years ago, and now she's 9 and she's turning 10 soon. God, she is kind of creepy sometimes, especially when it comes to her mind. And I'm not really sure, but I'm starting to think that some demon or ghost is sometimes messing around with my daughter's body. This was creepy, but I don't think so much about now. This was creepy, but I don't think so much about it now. One time my daughter was awake at night and she was whispering into my ear and she said, "Brother died today." And I said, "But your brother is still alive though." And then she replied with, "I love you so much that I want to rip your organs out and sleep with them at night." I mean, that went from 0 to 100 in an instance. What the heck is going on? This is not okay. I think your daughter is possessed. I mean, did she actually say that? Was she sleep talking? Did her eyes turn black? This is absolutely terrifying to me. I don't know what I would do in this situation. I'd freak out. I would have, I'd have that priest on speed dial. I'd priest it up at number 1. And finally, number 1 on this list, we have The Scary Woman in the Forest. This story comes from AD Queen. So my family lives in the middle of the forest, like on a medway that is surrounded by forest, away from civilization. One night I was driving back home from a night out with my girls, and I was really nervous because I just got my license and wasn't used to driving alone yet. So when I drove to this long road that is away from the village and leading to us, all of a sudden something jumped in front of my car and I stopped in a matter of seconds. It wasn't a deer or something, but it was a human. Well, a naked human looking like it was beaten as it was scratched and bruised and looked a bit confused. I cracked my window and asked if they were okay, but all it did was hiss and walk back into the woods. When my dad asked me how it was out with the girls and I told him about the road, he said, "Oh, don't mind her. Is this woman being held hostage somewhere and she was just able to run free? And why does your dad know about this? And also, why the heck do you live in a forest away from civilization?" I would have so many questions for my dad. Like, what is he running or what's he hiding from? Well, there you guys have it. This is the end of the video. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I was your host, Landon Do Not Sing, and I'll see you guys all in the next most amazing top 10 video.